We'll talk about this guy, dude.
Karl Rock.
I'm so very excited.
Cool. So let's talk about Karl Rock. When did you get to know about him? Like, when did you first see him or come across him?
I've seen a lot of videos which were circulated like memes, but I didn't know that was Karl Rock. So I think I discovered a lot of his videos only through when you started recommending, and then I went through a lot of his videos.
Right.
The first thing that it starts like, so this is how, so let's imagine you're sending me, okay, can you look up this creator Karl Rock, and I put the terminology on YouTube search, and it shows a bunch of videos, right? And what is interesting is, so first video that captures my attention in the list of videos is, why is this foreigner being banned in India for a year? I'm like, okay, what is this? Then second is like, I saw a video on Abhi and New who talks about like, this is like a foreigner who loves India and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I started with that video. Okay, let's start with a positive note. So then I saw that video where they talked about saying, oh, this person is from New Zealand, and he talks about how he had a girlfriend who made him like a butter chicken masala, and he got like, wow, I need to go to this place.
Right.
Then from 2013, I think he's been coming to India. That's what he said in the video.
I think first he came 2013, then 2016 he moved here. Something like that. Yeah.
So I think now he's married to someone in India, and he's been around here.
Right.
So that's the first introduction. Then I went back and watched why was he banned, right? Then there was not much like spice into it. Like they decided, okay, don't come right for a year.
No, so there's an interesting story there.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I went into like the rabbit hole a little bit.
Okay.
So first I don't know why I came across there's a creator that I didn't know before. His name is B-Boy.
Okay.
Have you heard of him? So he's like a commentary guy. He comments on everything. I don't really follow him, but like I saw this one video. So basically what happened was Karl Rock got a tourist visa. Apparently when you get a tourist visa, it makes sense that you can't do any business activities, right? But when he came to India, first of all, not only did he start like going everywhere, even places where he is not supposed to. Like for instance, there was one video where he went to, I think POK, right? So like the video was, I went to the other side of Kashmir, something like that. So he went there, he went to Pakistan, he's gone to Pakistan multiple times. He's gone to like, I think in the east, there are places where you're not supposed to go to. I don't remember the state exactly, but he's gone to all of these places which are attention grabbing. Like when you say, oh, I've been to this place, people will be interested. And especially as a foreigner, but you're not supposed to on his visa, right? Without like proper permits and everything. That was one. Second was you're not allowed to do any business activities. So having like a 2.5 million subscriber YouTube page is gone right there, right? Assuming that he's earning in INR, which I'm guessing he is. And second, he wrote a book. So he has, I don't know if it's an ebook or like a proper book, but he wrote a book which is called like Indian Survival Guide. So it's like for foreigners who come to India, how should you navigate and all of that. So essentially, apparently he was given multiple warnings saying that, hey, you're doing all of this, which is it's not permitted on your visa. So please stop it. And he didn't stop. So I think he went out, he went to Dubai or something. And then they were like, please don't come back. But yeah, so the interesting part was that when I first saw him, right, I saw him and I think a lot of the people who would have come across him would have come across through like the scam videos that he does. Right, hey, be wary of this scam. I went here and this scam and that scam. And even I think before recording, you were saying that some Indian guy was like cursing him. So we probably know him from there, right? And like the first impression I had of him was pretty positive. I was like, hey man, he's cool. He's uncovering some scam. But when I saw like all of these other videos of people commenting on his content, right, I realized that yes, there is that side of the argument that he is only talking about that content. Like he's only talking about scams. He's only talking about, and maybe this is like they're selectively talking about it, but there were times when he went to Pakistan and he was like, oh, Pakistan is cleaner than India, or Pakistan is better. People from Pakistan come to India, but Indian people don't go to Pakistan. Things like that, right? I did kind of see only on his YouTube page that he was only talking about seemingly negative parts of India. Right. So just from like a cursory glance, I was like, okay, yeah, man, this seems a little biased. I mean, I'm not judging. I don't have enough information. But what I would want to talk about is what do you think his target demographic would be? Is he making these videos for Indians? Like, or do you think Indians are watching his videos? Or, I mean, I'm sure they're targeted towards foreigners who are coming to India. But I feel like there are more Indians watching him than there are people from outside.
Yeah. But before that, do you want to start by telling people who Karl Rock is? Maybe not. Anyway.
Sure.
Should we start with that?
Yeah. So, he's Kiwi. He's from New Zealand.
He's from New Zealand. Yeah.
He has a Dutch passport. I don't know how that happens, but he's from New Zealand. He has a Dutch passport. He came to India in 2013 and I think permanently shifted in 2016. I'm quoting, he's very passionate about India. I don't know exactly what that means, but he's very passionate about India. And he's living here. I don't know the timeline, but he eventually married someone from Haryana, whose dad happens to be a politician. I know this because he took part in like a political rally. And he's done some controversial things, right? So his content mostly revolves around foreigner travels in India, what you should avoid, and a lot about scammers. I don't know how he came to that. Would love to know like the genesis of it, but it's like a lot of call center scams and this scam and that scam. So at least that's what I associated him with. Oh yeah, he's like he talks about scams. But yeah, recently, like you mentioned, he came in the limelight because he got banned from entering India because he was doing all of these things he's not supposed to on his visa. That happened last year or something, and now he's back. He came after like a year. He was banned only for a year. I don't know how that works. Either you ban him fully or like
he's like we giving you a warning.
Basically something like that. But yeah, that's basically who Karl Rock is.
Yeah. So answering to your previous sort of question is that I was listening to this podcast by Kunal Shah, right? And he talks about this very interesting stuff. So India is a Mao and DAO factory, right? So for the people who don't know Mao and DAO, Mao is monthly active users, MAU, and DAO is daily active users, right? So if you want to get like the largest amount of MAU and DAO, you come to India. And there's another metric called ARPU, which is average revenue per user. Right? Which is the lowest in India, right? Because people don't click ads and ads are not very entertaining. And also the per capita income of India is so low, right? If I'm right, so India's per capita income is around like $2,200 sort of dollars, like 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh-ish something. But I think in US it's around $60,000. So it's like almost 30x more, right? So, so that's why like the amount that you earn on YouTube is way different from what you earn in US, right? So coming to the point of who is Karl Rock's target audience, I have a feeling like mostly only Indians watch his videos, right? And if you want like the US folks to watch, I don't think he's also not from US, right?
No, he's from New Zealand and
he's not from US, right? You know, if you wanted something like for the US folks to do, you wouldn't be talking in Hindi, right? So you wouldn't be talking in Hindi, you wouldn't be I know a lot of people sort of like they say they love India and stuff like that, but even in the vlogs and stuff like they communicate it in a language that the eventual audience will understand.
That's an interesting point,
right? So I think here he's trying to make a point of saying that, you know, he genuinely likes India, but it's not definitely communicated in the videos that is being sort of shown, right? What I feel is that it's very selective, it's very biased, and also the term scams, right? We have gotten accustomed to it. Let's say, for example, even if a vegetable vendor is selling you like a small vegetable, you will check and buy it, right? Because like most people on Twitter would say this is like a low trust society, right? Because you want to get like the maximum buck for your value, right? So for let's say here there is a video where it says that, you know, confronting an Indian scammer, and scammer is in like full caps, and it's about how to buy like a real Kashmiri shawl, right? So he got this from this one guy, and then he went to like a government authorized store, and he went and got it checked, and they figured out it's definitely fake, and he came back. I'm like, dude, this doesn't happen only for foreigners. It happened for Indians also. Right? So it is not because you're just a foreigner. Maybe you're a foreigner, you are like a very evident man who people think.
Right.
But I face this when I go even from South India to North India, when I don't know the language. Right? People will figure out by your skin tone,
right,
and like how you look, and if you're, it's a general touristy thing, right? So, for example, there is another video where he talks about like somebody coming and asking that, hey, can you buy me like a rice? That's another scam, he calls.
Right.
Like, dude, this is India, right? This is like a part of the culture, because it's a developing country. They'll figure out all the ways to like sort of extract money from you. You will have to be careful, right? But if you start quoting each of this is scam, I don't know when, then you won't, I don't think YouTube will have space to upload all the videos, and you will have one angle where it feels like scam.
Right. I think that also, like, that just kind of the things that we are attracted to as Indians also, right? Like, more often than not, we will not look at something and be like, okay, this is not a scam. We'll be like, we'll find reasons why it could be a scam, right? Often I find we'll try to hunt for reasons why something is bad, as opposed to like naturally look at it, okay, yeah, it's happened, like it's okay, he's not trying to scam you. Like, that's the first thing that comes into our mind, which I think he's obviously leaning into. And clearly, if he's making it, then there are people watching it. It's not like people are watching it just because he's making it. That's also like a cultural thing, right? Like the low trust society that you mentioned. That people always look for something that could be potentially wrong.
Even if you look at, let's say, for example, let's imagine you are a young boy and you're sent to a store to buy something, and let's say you didn't get like the proper change. The first thing that your dad will say is, you have to be street smart, right? He would never say that guy was a scamster, because in India, like, you're grown up with the fact that you have to be street smart.
Right.
You have to know how to sort of behave with people, how to sort of like be smart with money. And they won't. If I go try changing the world, it's not going to happen, because that's how everybody is.
True.
Right. So that's why this video feels like it is of course a very Western point of view, but also like a Western view of also life, right? Only if you're in a developing country, you will know the struggles that you are facing here. Like us being in a studio recording a podcast is like the highest of privilege. Right. So I don't really agree to the lens in which he shows India. But it definitely gets him eyeballs, and if he's repeatedly doing it, that probably this is the difference between like Casey Neistat and probably someone like him, because he has given into what the algorithm needs.
Right? I think not even the algorithm, like what humans need, right?
Correct.
Like this is the kind of controversy that will always pull eyeballs, and it's easy, right? Like you just talk about something that you know that it's going to elicit a certain reaction. But yeah, no, that's a good point. But I also wanted to talk about this phenomena, right, of you being an outsider in like a location and creating content and using that as your either USP or unfair advantage, right? Because recently, I don't know if you came across this video, but there's a video by a Korean dude. His name is Inwook, which was surviving 20 hours on an Indian sleeper train, right? It has like 2.5 million views, and it just popped up on my feed, right? And I was thinking about that video, like when I was doing research on Karl Rock, I was thinking about that video, and even other videos that maybe Indian travelers or people from India who have settled abroad and are creating content there are making, right? This idea that you're doing something that's so unique and different that people would be interested in your point of view, right? I mean, of course, Karl Rock has like a different spin on it that I don't necessarily agree with, but this Korean guy, he was pretty interesting, right? He literally has like a 20-minute Mr. Beast style video where he is in a sleeper train, he's sharing food with people who are, on his berth or, around his in his compartment. He's like getting down on different stations and drinking tea, and he's just on a platform, right? And he kind of blew up after this video, which, yeah, like I think it brings back the idea that you need to figure out what's your USP. Like, how are you different? Everyone content at the end of the day is the same. Right? Like, he's just on a train and he's talking about what happens in a train. Everyone knows ki haan bhai, samosa milta hai, you get tea, someone will be there walking, water will be there, white sheets will be there. Everyone knows that. It's how you package it and how you give it your spin, right? That really sets you apart from everyone else.
I remember like a very funny anecdote, right? So we had a friend of friend, and he had traveled from US and he had come for my friend's wedding, right? So what he did, this is the first time he is coming to India. He came from US. So he spent a fair bit of amount of time in the northern part of the country, and then this wedding was happening in the southern part of the country. Then he came down. So we go to this small like hotel, like very small hotel, like where you have banana leaf and like the breakfast is sort of served. And we are ordering like idli and dosa for him. And after that he said, I want a mango lassi. Okay, and everybody started laughing. And the waiter was also like, no, we don't get lassi and all here. You get like filter coffee, right? And he was so like he was so shocked. He was like, everywhere where I went in like around Delhi, I would drink like lassi every time, and it will be available everywhere. And he said like, no, this part of the country is very different. And one interesting thing my another friend said, the only cuisine that you get throughout India is Chinese. Right? Any other cuisine is very regional in nature.
That's so true. Right.
So that's how vibrant this country is. And for me, literally, India is like a bunch of mini countries together, right? And I'm still fascinated how this exists at a country construct.
Right.
So you can't take like some bits and pieces of it and say this is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he has traveled enough in southern part of the country. I'm not saying southern part is better, but I'm saying that that's how it is.
No, that's a fair point. I think people who are making regional content, especially in places like India, I think they do have a bit of a responsibility to ensure that they're not biased, right? Like, I do agree that there are certain realities that you have to live with, but if you're going to talk about things, talk about like the full spectrum of things and not just like one thing that's absolutely going to get attention.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where does it have a word like creator ethics or like your social responsibility as someone who's like a hub of attention to ensure that what you are talking about is the full picture. And then,
but these are very at a personal sort of levels, right? I'm not sure if it can be imposed at a regulatory perspective.
no, they
right?
can't, yeah.
So me and my wife, we were discussing this. So if you look at like some of the biggest stars in Bollywood, like starting from Shah Rukh Khan, I don't think Salman Khan does it, but like Akshay Kapoor, most of them, they endorse a lot of tobacco related products. They don't
Right.
exactly endorse tobacco, but they like the sub brand, they like a pan masala or whatever, right? So, and recently they started seeing a lot of backlash, right? And
Right.
even when Akshay Kumar did it, like he was portrayed as this person who had the social responsibility. He had like a lot of this like the sanitary pad ads and all, became very famous, like then people can't like relate with it. And I think and him and his team also came out with an apology saying that he should have been a little more careful with his choices. What is very fascinating is this has been a very conscious choice with Tamil actors specifically. They
Okay.
never endorse anything, right?
Okay.
You would have never seen sort of Rajnikant in any of these ads, right? Probably like 10, 15 years back, they were still doing, some of them were doing like this Coca-Cola ads, but right now they don't endorse at all. Like, so they stopped it completely, unless it's like a government PSA, like public service announcement sort of types. They take it on their own, but other than that, they don't endorse at all. And I think it's a very personal thing. It's also like the societal thing and how they look up to, and there's also a twist in specifically when it comes to like Tamil celebrities, because they also have this intent to get into politics,
Right.
so they need to also
I didn't know
maintain their
that.
image.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I mean, so specifically in Tamil Nadu, out of all the chief minister, I think out of 4 of them, like I think till now we had like some 6, 7. Most of them have been from a film background.
Okay.
So earlier it was like a art and literature background, and then there was film background. So that's where there's a very heavy tie-up of influence between like films and politics.
Okay, I didn't know that.
As creators, what it means is when you have like a considerable amount of following and people look up to your voice and opinions, there needs to be some sort of an ethical stance, right? And it has to be very personal journey. Right. So, for example, now the government has mandated saying that if you're doing like a brand partnership, you need to explicitly say. And a lot of these creator tools also come up with this. Like, for example, Instagram has this in partnership with tag. If a creator has to bypass it, they can. Like, there's no way for me to sort of really do that, like cross check that, unless somebody calls them out. Right. So you will be looked down upon in the social media. The social media court will look down upon you, but legally nothing sort of can be done. Right. So for me, the social media influencers, YouTubers are either as equal or even more powerful than the celebrities. Right. Because let's say a celebrity, someone like even like a superstar or someone who's a star or an actor, there's a certain place where you go and see them. There's a certain way how you see them, and there's a certain way you sort of look up to them and stuff like that. Their personality is crafted. But when it comes to social media celebrities, they become a part of your life, right? So very interestingly, I was reading this book then where they say that, hey, there was earlier TV. First, there was a big screen, which was theaters. Then there was a small screen, which was TV. And now the screen is in your hand, right? Which means wherever you go in your pocket, you have access to them. Right? It could be in the bedroom, to the bathroom, to the living room, to your study room, to wherever you go. Right? And that's not the case with, let's say, a bigger star. Of course, you can watch the movies, but it's like the same content you're watching. Like, that's very different from how you're watching like a Casey Neistat vlog.
Yeah. No. I think to bring this to a full circle, as viewers, as content consumers, I think we need to treat any influencer, any creator, just like we treat our like daily lives in India, at least, right? You take it with a pinch of salt. And I was thinking of this when, so there was a recent whole YouTube controversy thing that happened between, Sandeep Maheshwari.
Yeah.
So Sandeep Maheshwari, I think Prakhar Gupta and Shweta Gangwar.
Yeah.
So
those are two different controversies. First, it happened between...
First it was between Prakhar and this...
Prakhar and Sandeep.
Prakhar, Shwetab and Sandeep, like versus Sandeep. And then like Shwetab kind of figured things out with Sandeep, and then it was only Sandeep and Prakhar, and then Prakhar kind of... It was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And, I can't comment who was right, who was not, because honestly, I don't think we can. Even with the videos and everything, like you can't. Like you don't know what the full picture is. And I think that's what... That was probably like my biggest takeaway from like that controversy is that as creators, as consumers, you never know what the full picture is, right? It literally, like when that whole thing was happening, every single time one of them put up a video, my opinion instantly changed. I'm like, oh yeah, now it seems like he's right. And I was like, man, what am I thinking? Like, I don't have the full picture. Why am I even forming an opinion here?
Yeah.
So I think just exactly like you said, it's not on them to be ethical and because they don't have to. Like, there's nothing stopping them from, taking advantage of you and all the attention they're getting. So it's on us as consumers to ensure that everything that we look, we don't instantly form an opinion on it, right? Like, we take it with a pinch of salt and be like, okay, like, I'll do my own research. I don't want to just instantly believe what is being told to me.
Yeah. Sometimes even they might not know if they're doing right or wrong. Right. So usually for anyone, only when we look back, we will know whether the decision has worked out in the right or wrong. Or similarly, if you are in the state of power and just imagine, like say for example, for someone like a big YouTuber who has like a 2 million followers, it feels like Shah Rukh Khan in his Mannat, right? That's his home, right? Yeah. Where every day morning he comes and he shows his hand and like his fans go crazy. That's how it feels in YouTube, right? I put up a video, like immediately 10,000 people are watching, like 100,000 people are commenting and stuff. That's how you feel. You start feeling like Shah Rukh Khan. Right. But the fact is Shah Rukh Khan has some responsibility and he knows the status he's in. It's just that for here, it's just that you might not have that.